In this chapter we're going to learn how to save our game as a runtime so you can play it without using Blender. So open up game_finished.blend, which is basically the finished product. Now that we've got all the game logic added to everything, let's play through this again and make sure everything's good to go. So press P over the 3D view, and let's go get those keys and open that door. And let's hope the door only opens once. So there's the keys. Run into them, boom, they're collected. Let's go open that door. And make sure you add something nice at the end in that chamber to make it worth going through all this maze for. Something cool, something sexy, something like that. Yeah. Alright, so there's our door. Let's see what happens when we bump into it again. Good. It stays open, just like we wanted it to. So everything's good. We got the keys, we opened the door, it only opened once. We got this sexy thing as a reward for finishing the maze. So our game's complete. Everything works. Now let me show you how to save this as an actual game so you don't need Blender to play it. To save this as a runtime, first we need to enable that option because it's disabled by default. So go to File, and then User Preferences, and go to the Add-ons tab. Go to the Game Engine buttons over here, and enable this option here, which is called Save as Game Engine Runtime. So check that box on the right side there to enable that. And let's close that. And now you can go to the File menu, and under the Export options at the bottom is the option to Save as Game Engine Runtime. Now you should first create a new folder to save to, because it creates quite a few files. Also, it's essential that you pack all the textures into the blend file first, else nothing will be textured. So to do that, to pack the textures into the blend file, go to File, External Data, Pack into blend file, and click on that. And it packs all the textures within the blend file itself. You don't need to save the blend file after you pack it unless you want to. But if you do, that means you can't change the textures unless you unpack them again. You can find more information on packing and unpacking in the tips and tricks sections of this volume. So now that we've got the textures packed, and we're in camera view, and you're in textured shaded view, go to File, Export, Save as Game Engine Runtime. Now go to the folder you made for this game to be saved to. Mine's called Maze Game. Name it whatever you want and press Enter. And it'll take a couple seconds to save it. Alright, it's saved. So let me show you what you end with. Maze Game. There it is. So this is all the files that it saves. And this one here with the Blender icon can be double clicked. And that's our game. It shows up in a little standalone screen, but we can change those settings and I'll show you how in a minute. But this is your standalone Blender game. It's basically like any other game. It's an exe you double click on and play. Yoink. Alright, so now that we learned how to save the game, you can press escape to close that. Let me show you some of the options that you can change to specify how you want this saved as a runtime. Go into the render buttons, which under the Blender Game Buttons option has lots of options for embedded player and standalone player and just all this stuff. So here for the standalone player, you have options for the resolution and whether or not you want this to be saved as something that automatically becomes full screen when you open it. And you can turn on AA samples here for smoother edges and just lots of other options as well. So, and that's it. That's how you save as a runtime, by exporting it after you enable that add-on and then all of your standalone options are right here in the render buttons. How to create basic games in Blender.